Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me on the Empowered Mama Summit. Today we have Shaina Harris, who is a holistic health and life coach. So thank you, Shaina, so much for being here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do? And yeah.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad and grateful that I can be here with you. Do you still see me? It kind of went off for a second.
Yeah, I saw that shit. Yeah. Technology.
So what I do is I teach people how to really learn how to step into their bodies, get comfortable with who they are physically and emotionally, spiritually, and use that energy to bring all aspects of their life back together so that they can just love who they are, love their lives, and just continue moving through.
Yeah, I love that. And it's funny because I find that if I don't do any movement, like if I don't like dance on the weekends or I don't do a little bit of yoga, I get really stiff. But not only am I stiff in my body, but like I'm so much in my head rather than like down into my heart and all that. So I think that's so awesome.
Physical movement really helps you to like ground yourself and get like, I want to say sturdy is the word that came, like sturdy, like creating that foundation for everything else. I found that it really has been, when I realized how much movement helped me in my life and my business, offering it to other people, it's changing everybody. Like it's
And by the way, Shaina has like amazing dance parties. So if you have not joined one of them, you need to. You need an excuse to dance. Like I'm always like, I just want to dance. Shaina does awesome dance parties. So
we have so much fun.
Yeah. So as part of the summit, our purpose here is to, one, teach women how to, reclaim their power, how to live purpose-filled lives and create their legacy. So on that note, what does legacy mean to you?
Legacy for me is really what is the impact that you are having in the world? Not just like the legacy that you're leaving for your kids as far as like financial is concerned, but it's really about like how many lights did you touch during your life, and how many lights did those lights touch? Like, what is your impact on the world?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think that's so important because as you know, like I do estate planning. So I deal with all of the financial, like what, assets are we leaving? And if you look in the dictionary, definition of legacy is just that. It's like an inheritance or something left in a will. And I'm like, no way, there's way much more. And that's why I think this summit and so much of the work that like all of the women that are on here are doing will help people kind of really focus on their legacy and that impact in the world. So I think that's absolutely awesome. So for you, would you say that you've always kind of lived with intention and purpose, or was there like a turning point that kind of got you into, to where you are now?
I feel that, well, as far as the turning point is concerned, I feel that I've had many turning points in my life. I feel that in the beginning of my life, when I was a kid, teenager, I did live with purpose. I didn't realize it, but I feel like I did. And then when you grow up and become an adult, like it's not anymore, because now you're like, your focus is on, I have to get a job, I have to make money, I have to do this, and I have to do this. So I feel like that's when I had lost my intention and lost my purpose in life. The first turning point in my life, when I kind of realized I wasn't on my path anymore, was I was about 22. I had a boyfriend, and it was not a really good situation at all. Like alcohol, drugs, all that was involved, and I just wasn't happy. I was getting panic attacks all the time, like leaving work and not able to drive the 15-minute drive home because I was like having panic attacks. And during that time, I realized that I was like, I want to dance. Like, what am I doing here? Like, I just want to dance. So that was one of the turning points in my life. That was a big shift. I broke up with my boyfriend. I moved back to my home with my mom. I auditioned for an internship program in New York City to dance and like basically just like an intensive on getting good again at dancing and auditioning. I moved up to New York for a few months, like did the whole works, like homeless, starving, all of it, like an intensive. Yeah. So that was like the first turning point in my life. And I did end up getting a job dancing, and that kind of changed things again. I met my husband there. Then I got pregnant and stuff like that. But I think that was the biggest turning point in my life, was realizing that I needed to get back on my path.
Yeah. So for you now that you're kind of back on your path, you're doing the dancing thing, you're sharing it with the world, why would you say living a purpose-filled life is important? And do you have any tips for the moms who are kind of trying to find their purpose or reconnect to that woman that they were, and basically take back their life, right? And do things on their terms.
So I feel that living a purpose-filled life is what really helps you create your happiness from within rather than looking to others. So as far as moms is concerned, it's super, super hard. I have 3 kids, and it's so hard to stay focused on me, like finding my own happiness, doing what makes me feel good, making sure that I shower every day, things like that. It's difficult when you have kids because those little ones, they like literally depend on you. Like if you didn't feed them, they wouldn't live. So, and I feel that if we realize that we are the most important people in our lives, and we can only give to others if we give to ourselves first, I think just shifting that mentality and realizing that it's not a selfish thing, because it's a life thing. Like your kids, they don't wake up in the morning and think about you first. No. They do what they have to do first. They go to the bathroom before they even come say hi. So why can't we do that?
Yeah.
So making sure that we're taking care of first is, I think, one of the biggest things. And it's a process. So start with like 5 minutes, like make sure you shut the door and lock it when you wake up in the morning. If you have little ones, and take your 5 minutes. Start with that.
Yeah.
Because that'll be enough to refuel you for, part of the day. And just adding things like, I like to dance every day. So if I'm with my kids all day and they're like nagging me and I feel like I can't get out of it, I'm like, hey, we're going to have a dance party. And I throw on music and we all dance. And then I feel better and they have fun too. So learning how to incorporate your self-care with your kids is also like a tip.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because I think so I do Saturday morning dance parties just with, we end up listening to Let It Go and repeat, like, that's what we do. But that's like, or she's like really into Despacito right now.
Oh
So
my gosh, who is it?
morning dance parties, and she's like, more like Despacito, and I'm like, I'm gonna get so sick of that song, but I'm like, what, let's get up, let's move, let's get the our day going. So I love that, and incorporating your kids into that. Although, like you said, like taking care of ourselves first and doing things that may not necessarily involve them, just so that we get that little bit of a break.
We need that, like minimum 5 minutes alone. Complete alone.
Yeah, totally. So in kind of living our purpose, right, we are able, as moms, as women, we're able to fully step into our power, right, really own our life, and just kind of, I think we lose who we are when we become a mom, right? Because we now are like, this child is dependent on me. And, it's funny because I find myself telling moms with, children who have just turned 1, I'm like, congratulations, you survived the first year. Like, you literally kept this human being alive. And so, for when we become mothers, and especially that first year, and for first time moms, it's like everything is about the kid. Everything, like we don't go out and have, wine with our girlfriends, or we don't go out dancing, or we don't go to yoga class anymore, or whatever it is. We give up this part of us, and moms kind of go into almost I wouldn't say resentment, but it's like they've lost themselves. And they're like, I work with so many women. They're like, I used to be fun. And I'm like, you still are. You just need to make the time, right? And so by making that time for yourself, by feeling good in your body, dancing, moving, eating healthy, whatever it is that, makes you feel good, we are stepping into our power. And so my question now is, what does so it's kind of a two-part-ish, and you can answer it any way you want, but what does empowerment mean to you? And kind of like, what does being an empowered mama, what does that mean for you?
Yeah. Okay. So being an empowered mama is like learning to say no. I feel like this is kind of going to answer both in a way.
Yeah.
So learning to say no, and not like no to your kids, no, you can't have that candy, but keeping your personal boundaries.
Yeah.
I feel that learning to keep your personal boundaries is super empowering. And not only that, is also saying yes to yourself.
Yeah.
So learning to say no, like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. And then learning to say yes to yourself. As far as, I'll give an example right now. I have like another speaking engagement coming up, and it's like on Long Island, and I have an 8-month-old baby. And in my head, I'm sitting there like figuring out like, how can I go, but not be gone too long? And should I have even said yes to this? Like, but no, like I said yes before I had an opportunity to think about all those things.
Yeah.
So now it's coming up, and I'm figuring out how to work it because I'm still nursing and stuff like that. But a lot of moms with young kids or like babies wouldn't do something like that. They would, like, the first year they wouldn't leave, like what you were saying before. And we need to understand that we need to do what's right for us and our family. So when we do what's right for us, it's going to trickle down to our family. Like this, going to Texas.
Yeah.
That was a huge one for me. So back in January, I went to an event with Carmen, and it was awesome. We had like so much fun, and I brought my baby with me. But that was like one of the very first times that I fully stepped into my power. And by saying, I'm going to go to this event, because I knew my husband wouldn't have liked it if I had, let's say, asked him first. I kind of set it up that it was going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And then I told him that it was going to happen and how it was going to happen. Yeah. So I think as moms and wives, we need to stop asking permission for things that we know in our heart is what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. And you weren't the only one with a baby there either. She had her baby too. So your son was like a month old then?
He was 2.5.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, he was brand new. Yeah. Yeah. But I agree. So I'm kind of freaking out. So I'm going to Paris next week, and it's with a business coach. And initially, so I didn't even get into my head, because if I would have started thinking about how long I was going to be gone for my daughter, how long I was going to be gone for my business, and just fully immersed in myself and what I want to create my legacy, right? Because I'm building this business around, asset protection and protecting your kids and building your legacy so you make that impact in the world. And I was like, well, this is calling me. I've never been to Paris. It's going to be amazing. And so I said yes, not knowing all the details, but knowing in my gut and in my heart that this was something that I had to do. And so, yes. And I think so many times we start to overthink, right? And we're both, in Maru, and I'll be having Maru on here too. But, this idea of how, trying to always figure out the how. And then we get so overwhelmed and like in our heads about the missing pieces, rather than saying yes to what we really want and then figuring it out, down the line. Yeah. So I think that's super important, and, such a great great point to make. But so as you kind of had your turning point, you're now, living out your purpose, doing, the health and life coaching. And what would be, so if somebody, if there was a mom, maybe she's brand new, maybe she's at that point where she's like resenting, like putting her life on hold, and she's kind of like, well, what do I do now? What is my life purpose? How do I even figure that out? What would be like your one piece of advice to kind of help her step into her power and really start creating that legacy that she wants to leave, either for her children or just for herself? Yeah.
I would tell her to take 30 minutes and check out. Like, just check out from the house, from the husband, from the kids, from everything. Even if it's literally like just getting in their car and going to Starbucks, drinking your coffee by yourself, taking deep breaths, and really feeling in your gut what it is that you want right now. What do you want right now? Because when we don't have the time to think or feel, we don't know what we want. And we don't have the time to get that clarity. So being able to check out and just feel in your gut what you want, that's going to take you to the next step. And then that step is going to take you to the next step. So it's really just taking that first step and checking out, because you need that for you. I can't tell you how many times that so 1 week I had to do it a couple times. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it really, 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 really helps in order for you to start getting back on your path and finding your purpose. You know what I mean? We are all like intentional beings. We are here for a reason. And then we don't have to overthink it. We just have to listen to our intuition on what it is. It's not this whole big, oh my God, what am I here for? It's not, it's just what makes you happy is why you're here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So tell me, how do you think, because you're all about movement, right? And like getting into your body, like how do you think, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but how do you think that, how that plays into this idea of like, of clarity and getting clear on what your purpose is, and maybe you don't just have one purpose, and, maybe not getting stuck on that and just kind of going with it. But how do you think like body movement and just, health and holistic health helps you in finding that purpose?
So when you're moving, like you release endorphins, and like those are like happy hormones.
I just popped in. I thought about Legally Blonde, and she's like, when you exercise, you release endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. Happy people don't kill people.
Basically.
You're not going to strangle your kid at the end of the day, or your boss, or that, coworker. But yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, it helps on that end of things, like, so you don't like strangle anybody.
Yeah.
But it really helps you get clear, because when you're happy, you're clear-headed. Like the fog has like removed, and then you know what you want. Like, it might not be what you want 3 years from now,
right,
but you know what you want right now. Like maybe that fog has cleared and you're like, oh, I want a smoothie. Like, all right, go get a smoothie. Like, seriously. It also, like I said, it can help with like even those cravings that you get for like crap food. Like if you're moving and you're dancing and stuff, you're not going to crave, oh my God, I need a soda right now. Like you're not going to crave crappy food.
Yeah.
When you're moving a lot, your body's going to crave what it needs to replenish itself. So that's going to be water. That's going to be like fresh fruits and vegetables, especially in the summertime. Like listen to those types of cravings as well. I know I kind of like went off a little bit.
No, that's awesome. Part of it, right? Being a mom is like, there's always that like extra 5 pounds, or getting into, comfortable in our bodies, and just like, loving ourselves unconditionally, not just because once you, are healthier and you are able, you're more energized, you can do more, and, being healthy helps you live longer and, really create that impact in the world. And so I think that that's great. But on that topic, I was recently just talking to somebody about what I kind of like named intuitive eating. I forget, somebody mentioned it to me, but it's that idea of really, yeah. What was it? It's a book?
It's a book.
Oh, someone said it and I was like, oh yeah, that's what this is, intuitive eating. But it's really just kind of like settling in, really thinking about what you're craving. And it's like, and since I started doing that, I do crave like fruits and vegetables, but I'm no longer craving like the cheeseburger and fries, although that happens once in a while. Or like a soda, right? Like I notice that when I start getting overwhelmed or I'm tired and stressed, I just want a soda. Like I want, and it's a Diet Coke, but I'm like, I want a soda right now. Like, why do I want a soda so bad when I could be drinking, you know, sparkling water or like, you know, fruit infused water? So really just, you know, paying attention to your body is so important. And, you know, the movement helps you kind of get clear and all that fun stuff. So I think that's awesome.
So just quick tips, since we kind of on the health thing.
Yeah.
When you are like, you know, trying to like want to eat healthier and stuff like that, I suggest buying tons of fresh fruits and vegetables just to have in the house. Because one, you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, oh my God, I got to eat that before it goes bad. Right? Yeah. And
like, I just spent all that money on these fruits and vegetables. Like, I'm not wasting them.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're like, I know as moms, and if you're like running around, you don't have really time, you're starving. Like I get to these points, and this is something I'm working on myself, where I won't eat enough in the morning, and then like mid-morning I'm starving and I have like the baby in my hand, the other two are fighting, and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do right now. Like my energy level is so low, like I'm almost shaking because I don't have any food in my system. So like right now, like I can either pick a peach or a plum or a banana. I have them all like right here.
Yeah.
So when you need that quick like food like to help you, like you want to have something that's so easy that you can't like, there's nothing else that you would rather choose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then also the second tip is don't buy the junk. Just don't.
That's super
important. Don't have it in your house, you're not going to eat it as much. You know, like if you're out and you're like walking around Target or whatever, and you're like, oh, let me get like a crappy Starbucks, get it. That's fine. Because you know in your house, you're not going to have any of that.
Yeah.
That's okay. You know, and just being able to do that without feeling guilty or without feeling shameful is one of the steps that I teach.
Awesome. I think that's so great, because I know if I have like junk food in my house, like it's gone within like a day. Like I don't even know if it lasts. Like I'll eat an entire pack of like cookies and I'm like, where did all the cookies go? Who ate them? I'm like, oh, I did.
I don't know.
Daycare, you know, she's at daycare. She's not eating them. But just, you know, instilling even those healthy habits with her, like knowing that, you know, like, well, you want something sweet, here's a yogurt with some fruit, or, you know, here's a banana or something like that. I think that's super important. So in terms of movement, you said like, if we're starting out, what should, you know, including me, what should we start on, because it's like, oh, I don't have 30 minutes. I don't have an hour. Like, would you say start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes? You know,
I would honestly say like play your favorite song at the moment and just dance to it. Like just do whatever, like don't think about what you're doing. Just move to it. Yeah. That is like, it helps so much. And then sometimes you might play 2 more songs and like dance to them. That's like for starters. Like I don't teach that you need to exercise every single day for 30 or 45 minutes a day. I think that's ridiculous. Like it's not really, it's not like possible for everyone, and we shouldn't expect that. Yeah. So it's summertime, right? So sometimes the nights are really, really awesome, and 8 or 8:30 roll around, and the older 2 they're about to get into bed. The youngest one, he's not sleepy yet. And I mean, even my husband appreciates this too, because I will take the baby and I'll take a walk with him in the stroller, and I'll walk around the neighborhood for a half hour. Yeah. Or whatever feels good for me. Sometimes it's like 10 minutes. Sometimes it's 40 minutes. It just depends on what I want. But it's really like, oh my God, this cool air feels so good. I want to take a walk.
Yeah.
I have to take a walk today. Like,
you're like, it's cooler outside. Let me enjoy the fresh air and get out of.
exactly. So figure out what feels good for you at the time. Like my kids love to do yoga videos on YouTube. Yeah. So if I feel that I kind of want to do a little bit of that, like I'll put on their kids yoga stuff and do a little bit with them.
Yeah.
It's just incorporating what you like to do, what you can do, because, you know, we all have like limits in our lives, and what feels good. And when you're able to do that, literally you can watch like the pounds just drop when you're not trying, when you're just living fully.
And I think, I mean, that is such a good point, because I found that, so I've been kind of on this like personal development, you know, binge almost since before I had my daughter. So over 2 years, because I turned 30 and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Is this like, you know, I started my law practice, and is that it for me? Like, not that it wasn't a great accomplishment, but it wasn't like soul fulfilling. It wasn't, I was like, I'm meant for more. And so I kind of started this journey. Then I found out I was pregnant. I was like, holy cow, I need to be like the best role model ever, because, you know, I'm bringing a human. And so I started really reflecting on, because, you know, children, they follow our actions, right? They don't always listen to what we say, because we can say the same thing 50 times and they don't listen. But if we do something, right, they're going to mimic us like all the time, and they're going to see what we're doing versus what we're saying. And sometimes, you know, that's not consistent, but they'll follow us in that way. And so I was like, okay, I need to actually live my life in a way. Because I can say, oh, I want you to follow your dreams and be the best you, but I'm stuck in a, you know, a crappy job. But I think that once I really kind of let go of other people's expectations of me, really jumped into who I was and doing the things that I love, and stopped saying yes to other people and saying yes to myself.
Yeah.
And not getting so caught up in, oh, I need to lose 15 pounds this month, or I need to lose, you know, 2 pounds a week, because that's like the most that I can lose. That's like healthy, and tracking every food. I mean, it's obsessive, right? And I'm like, this is another job. I don't have time for that. I have my business, and I have my kid and myself. I was like, I can't squeeze in like a fourth thing. Like, it's not happening. Yeah. And so getting into this intuitive eating where it's not stressful. I'm like, you know what? I want to nourish my body. I just want to feel good based on what I eat and the things that I do. I lost weight like that. Like, it's insane. And then you lose the weight, you feel more confident. You're able to fully step into who you are and continue to say yes to yourself and no to things that don't serve you, and really just, you know, be the best version of yourself. So I think that's so important to, you know, like what you're doing and what you're teaching, and how it all, you know, it's all incorporated. And I think the moms here can kind of, you know, it's great for us, you know, to hear that from someone who does it. So this was awesome. Thank you so much. It was awesome. And I think like the tips that you provided, and, you know, get up and move, just like dance your favorite song, make the kids do it too. They need to get off the couch and like more active, you know, off the tablets and out of the TV. Yeah. So thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us. And if you guys are interested, we'll have Shaina's contact email. So if you want to find out more about her holistic health and life coaching, you can reach out to her. So thank you again, Shaina, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.